now on that computer.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So let me have you put it in Dropbox.
Okay, so
and Amika's got a file in Dropbox, so you can put it in her file.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, and we're recording.
Okay. Welcome to the Intuitive Pathfinders monthly podcast. Thank you for joining Catherine and I. And if you haven't been able to join us and you're just listening, that's okay too.
Yes.
You know, that's the way it works. Our topic this month is going to be dreams, precognitive and lucid, as well as we're going to be talking about visitations.
All kinds of dreaming.
Yes.
So we have a quote from Carl Jung, one of my favorite. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes.
Oh, I like that one. And then I found a great quote by Gloria Steinem. It says, dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. Because a lot of times in a dream, some people, not everybody, will get instructions of, oh, I need to do that next. Or, you know, they have that.
Or a solution to a problem.
Yeah, it comes up in a dream, you know, and so that makes a lot of sense.
So we chose this topic because it's Pisces.
Yeah.
Dream is a Pisces topic.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who are not astrologically focused, Pisces is from February 18th through March 19th. If you haven't listened to our introductory podcast, we are both astrologers. So
yes.
We relate back to what's happening currently in the sky to help us plan what we're going to talk about. So Neptune rules Pisces, and that rules the dream state. So that's how we came up with the topic.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about other planets. We talked about Mars, if Mars is in Pisces, what that might mean.
We want to take a look at your own astrological chart and see if you have any planets that are in Pisces. If you don't have any planets that are in Pisces, you might have some in Virgo, which is polar opposite. Mm-hmm. And you will have one of your houses. Pisces will be in one of your houses. Your houses dictate the areas of your life. So, you know, if you've got Pisces in the 4th house, that's going to be about home and family. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I see a lot of people get really drawn to living by the water when they've got Venus in the 4th house in Pisces.
Or you could have a lot of planets in the 12th house, which is the Pisces house, and that would give you the same influence. Yeah. And what I find is clients who have a lot of Pisces are natural dreamers
and very psychic.
Yes.
You know, I've got a when we talk about visitations later on, I have somebody that had a visitation, and she's a Pisces, Cancer, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. I mean, I'm like, whoa, water everywhere, you know, so it's pretty normal that she would be having a visitation. So,
well, we have talked a lot about dreams in previous podcasts,
yes.
So we really wanted to focus this particular one on that topic. And as you said, we're going to talk about lucid dreaming, precognitive dreaming, visitations, and hopefully answer some of your questions about some of the dreams you've had.
Well, and the other thing is that when we were putting Intuitive Pathfinders together, we came up with 12 signs
that you're on the intuitive path.
Exactly. And so dreams was number 1.
Yeah. Because everybody dreams. The problem is some people will tell you, well, I don't remember my dream. And I shouldn't say everybody dreams, but you have to be getting a good night's sleep.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be able to go into the REM cycle to dream.
Yeah, which is the rapid eye movement sleep. So, and that's the dream time. Your muscles are the most relaxed. You know, the right and the left hemispheres are sort of together. They're collaborating. And what I always suggest is that you keep a journal, or at least some paper and a pen, so that you can, by the side of your bed, so you can immediately write down whatever the impressions are, words, feelings, anything when you wake up. And sometimes if you wake up in the middle of the night, it's always good to do that.
I call them dream fundamentals.
Oh, yes.
So they can just be a snippet, just enough to help you recall. So I have a tip for helping that along, is that I use water, a glass of water next to my bed.
And you tip it over yourself.
No. We've been there, done that. No, I put the question or the intent about what I want to dream, or the answer to a question, in the water, hold my hand over it, and then I take a sip of it.
With the paper in it?
No, just my hand.
Oh.
I'm just holding my hand over it.
I was going to say, who cleans up that mess the next day?
Just my setting intention with my hand.
Okay.
And truly, you don't even have to hold your hand over it. Setting the intention, imbuing the water, have a couple sips, and then you have to get up to go to the restroom in the night. That's how you remember your dream.
That's right. So you're sort of forcing yourself to get up and go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
I like that.
And then because usually then you have the end of that dream that you can remember before you go back, go into another cycle and then have another dream.
See, I kept having this dream the other night, yellow, yellow, yellow. That's all I kept hearing. Yellow, 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 yellow. So
What'd you do with that?
I didn't know. I wrote it down. I just kept writing down yellow, yellow, yellow. It's like a couple of nights before I was in a square and I was blue. I was a blue cube in a square. There was tons of squares around me.
Well, you know, they say information comes in two formats, light and sound. So color is light.
Yeah.
So you might be getting downloaded.
Well, it could have been, but, you know, I was also rewatching Breaking Bad where they wear lots of yellow. They wear those yellow suits when they're making meth. So
okay.
That could, I wasn't,
connection,
it could have been that. It could have been something that was prompting me from that. But the blue wasn't. I was a blue cube. There were other people around me, but they were different colors.
Oh, interesting.
And I was so annoyed. I was like, why don't I just drop to the bottom so I could get out of this? It was like I was inside a game. It was very strange, you know.
So take notes, and maybe there'll be an additional dream that gives you more information.
Well, and you know, that was just one of the dreams that I had that one night. Sometimes we have 3 to 5 dreams,
right?
You know,
and most people just remember the last
that's
one.
Right.
So that's why I say interrupting the cycle with the water helps you maybe remember more than one.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we spend about 2 hours. If we sleep 8 hours, 2 hours of it is dreaming. So that's actually quite a long period of time. But it is usually the one that sort of startles you or wakes you up or
you have a strong feeling about.
Exactly.
In like your case where you didn't like being in that blue
No,
cube.
I didn't like being in the blue cube. And there's lots of other people around me and I was just really annoyed. And I was square.
Maybe
and we all
squished
squished into the square. Could be something about that, yeah.
Well, dreams usually take place on 2 different levels. I find the subconscious level, which is where you're trying to work something out, or you watched a movie and taken it and incorporated it into the dream time. Or the superconscious, which to me is the more fun, which includes having conversations with people from the other side, so your visitations, or having a dream about an ascended master, or even a dream where you're given some precognitive information. I always think that's from the superconscious level. You know,
I mean, and it's interesting in terms of dreams of having the same one over and over again. Yes. So long time ago, I would have been about 26, so that is a long time ago, I had this dream, and this is about my ex-husband's mother. For 3 nights in a row, I dreamt about her. And it was just, we were having coffee in one dream, we were chatting in another dream, we were out shopping in another dream, but I hadn't thought about her for, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 years. So I picked up the phone and I called her and I said, I've been dreaming about you for the last 3 nights. And she said, that's strange. I've just been dreaming about you for the last 3 nights.
Oh, interesting.
And she said, do you want me to let Chris know where you're at? Which was my first husband. I said, nah, you know, it's fine. If he ever asks. She said, he's in Saudi Arabia and I was in America. I said, if he ever asks, you can tell him. Well, of course, she didn't waste any time and she got on the phone to Chris in Saudi Arabia. And then Chris ended up writing to me and, you know, sort of set the ball in motion for me to end up marrying Chris. I mean, that's it really started because Chris had been out of my life for nearly 10 years when these 3 dreams.
Was the reconnection.
Well, with his mom, with his mom. So that was kind of interesting.
Very interesting.
And then I also, Max must have been, who's 17 now, Max must have been about 4. And I had this dream about my Valerie night. And I kept on 3 nights in a row. Again, 3 seems to be the number for me when it comes to dreams. So I had this dream and it said, find your Valerie night. You need to find your Valerie night. And I'd worked with a Valerie night on the radio in Nebraska. So I went and did tons of research trying to find Valerie nights that work on the radio, and I came up with 3 of them. One was in Tucson. I don't know where the other one was, and this other one was in Philadelphia, but I didn't know, when you're on the radio, lots of people change their names. That's not their real names. Usually their first name's real, but it's their second name. You make it into a, radio name that makes it sound easier. So I called all 3 and I left a message and I said, hi, if you're getting this message, my name's Astrologer Dawn and I'm looking for Valerie Knight. And if you're my Valerie Knight, you'll know who I am. Please give me a call back. Then I talked to a couple of my radio friends, and one of them said, oh no, not the one in Tucson, that's not her. So I thought, oh, maybe it was the other two. So a few days later, I get this phone call from this Valerie Knight. Not my Valerie Knight from Nebraska, a different Valerie Knight. And she says to me, is this how you market yourself to get on the radio? And I said, no, but what a great idea. And she said, the weirdest thing is I've just come out of a meeting and we were told we have to find an astrologer to come on the air.
Oh, divine timing.
So I've been on WOGL in Philadelphia for 10, 11, 12 years, something like that now.
So one dream led to a marriage. One dream led to a
Job. Yes, I know.
Interesting.
So I listen to my dreams. I listen.
So.
You know, sometimes they're really clear and sometimes they're not.
Well, I think that's the difference of the level. I would say those who are super conscious, where you are having divine information shared with you that you follow up on.
Uh-huh.
I have both.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dream once where I was working for a fellow and he was wanting me to do a mail merge, and it would put the wrong name with the wrong address consistently. And I thought, I'm not doing this. It's some problem with the computer here. So I went to him and said, Houston, we have a problem. And he argued with me a little bit until I demonstrated. And he said, well, there must be a problem in the code. It must be a line code error. So that night I asked before I went to sleep. Now remember, I was a math teacher, so good with numbers.
Yes,
so
this is why you're having a computer dream as well.
Exactly. Okay. So I said, where's the problem? And I dreamt very clearly the problem's in line 64. So I came back to work and told him where the problem was. He wasn't that computer savvy, but somebody else was. That's exactly what the problem was.
164.
I thought, okay, good to know we can solve those problems.
See, and I thought you were going to say that you were playing bingo and 64 was the winning number.
Well, it could have been. I don't remember that part of it. But we got the mail corrected.
Wow.
We got
well, what about when you worked for law enforcement?
Yes, I did a lot of dreaming. In fact, that's primarily how I got information about missing children primarily. And I would ask before I would go to sleep, can I be of service in this particular case? And if so, can you give me enough specific detail that can be helpful to find the child? And then I would wake up and write down the information. So I did a lot of work with law enforcement that way. I had a particular case in Texas. I was working with the Texas Rangers, and they asked if I could give them the name of the suspect.
Wow.
And I said,
that's a bit much.
Well, that's what I thought. I'm not sure, and I'm not even sure I want to do that or could do that, but I'll So I did my routine of asking with the water, and that night I dreamt that he was standing at my front door.
Oh, no.
And he had a mechanic shirt on, and his name was on the shirt. I looked through the peephole, got his name, woke up, talk about feeling in a dream, startled, got up, turned on every light in the house, looked in the shower, the closet, under the bed.
And through the front door peephole, just to make sure
that's the first place
he wasn't standing there.
So I called them the next morning and I said, this is the name, and they said, that's the name of our suspect.
Oh, wow.
And I said, just so you know, I don't ever want to do that again. It was unnerving.
Really?
Well, it was just that energy that I was, and I just brought it right to me.
Yucky.
So I was sharing that with somebody, and they said, well, you know, you could do remote viewing in the dream. You could go out, take your consciousness and go to the place instead of bring them to you.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So I thought, well, I've never tried that. I'll try that. So the next case in Texas, that's what I tried. And when I called the Texas Ranger, he's so funny. I'm describing in detail. It was like I was a drone looking with picture perfect. And he says, well, ma'am, you've just described the state of Texas. Now, I'm laughing because I'm thinking, yes, I didn't go to Oklahoma or Michigan.
Right,
yes, I'm thrilled. Was it too helpful for him?
Now, did they ever get to prosecute that guy, the suspect?
Yes.
Good.
But they also eventually found the body of the little girl.
Oh, that's such a shame.
And I've stepped away from doing some of that because it's emotionally very taxing.
Oh, yeah.
Very draining.
Yeah. Well, and one of the dreams that I had involved Gandhi.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's the superconscious level.
Is that again?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Well, I met him in my dreams, and he told me to look out for a partner, business partner, that I was going to have a strong connection with and who would, you know, help me grow. And the next day, my then coach, Michael Charest, introduced me to Regina Concatelli, with whom I've worked on several joint projects in the past 15 years. she's also the person that introduced me to the human design system, the being a sequence, the gene keys, and I've had a lot of spiritual growth around Regina. And Michael had only met her like 4 days before.
So the timing.
He met her.
Why do you
I'd
think
already known
Gandhi
him.
was a part of it? What association do you think he had?
Some bald guy. I don't know. I don't know if I needed somebody to join me with somebody. I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm not sure because
he showed up again in the dream.
Gandhi, no. No. And now that would be kind of difficult because I would confuse him between the character that Bryan Cranston plays, Walter White, in Breaking Bad. So if I was dreaming about that, I wouldn't know which was which, whether I was dreaming about Walter White or whether I was dreaming about Gandhi.
Well, he might tell you. He might inform you.
Well,
so that's how you got into human design.
Yeah, and in human design, 50% of the population are ruled by what's called their solar plexus, and it's an emotional wave. So, you know, for people on this call, at least half of you are probably solar plexus, ruled by your solar plexus. So that means you emotionally go up and down and up and down.
Is that me?
Yeah, you're solar plexus. You're not solar plexus, are you, Glenn? Glenn and I are not.
Lucky you.
Tell me about it. Try living with somebody with solar plexus. I've got 2 of them. So because the energy is so powerful, but there's no truth in the now for those people with solar plexus. And the best thing that people who have solar plexus energy can do is sleep and dream.
Oh, good.
So it's
So
really
I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's really important because not only do you get more answers the next day, you get them in your dreams. So I'm always encouraging people who have solar plexus energy to dream even more than people who don't.
Well, and I'll tell clients sometimes, and I don't always know if they're solar plexus or not, but I'll say to them, if they're trying to make a decision, why don't you sleep on it?
Yeah.
Why don't you sleep on it?
Well, that's your solar plexus talking to them. Yeah. Because there's some of us that don't need to do that, and we dream for a different reason. Okay. You know, so but it's an absolute necessity for 50% of the population.
Of which I am.
You are a member.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, sleeping is dreaming is important, but you can't get to that stage unless you're asleep.
Right.
So, you know, sleeping is very important as well.
Well, we want to talk about precognitive dreams.
Okay.
How we think that happens and why it happens and what can you do with information that you get if it is, in fact, a precognitive dream. Yeah. So my story about that was dreaming about my husband's death before he died. About 2.5 months, I think, before he died. And I woke up just sobbing hysterically. And
you weren't married to him anymore?
Yes.
Oh, you were still married to him?
And he talked me out of it. You know, he calmed me down and said, "You're not going to die. Well, I'm not going to die. Right. I'm perfectly healthy." And he lied. Well, must have not been in his conscious awareness, but it was certainly, I was picking it up. And, you know, as I thought back about it later, I thought maybe on some level it prepared me for the shock of it. That having some premonition, precursor, even though I didn't believe it and I discounted it, maybe just having that awareness. That sometimes happens to me when I'm doing readings, and somebody will say, I can even use Glenn as a great example. You know, he was taking medical leave for a heart condition, and I said, "Oh, you're not going back to work." "Oh, well, I have to go back to work because, you know, this is the amount of time and blah blah blah." And that feeling within me was like, no, I don't think so. And he never did. And I had that with somebody else over. They were insisting that what I was seeing was the trip they were taking, like in 2 months. But that feeling within me was like, no, that doesn't feel right. And it turns out the trip was the next day. So I could feel the energy, but I didn't, you know, so, and I know that's not being asleep. Well, but it's still the precognitive aspect of it. You know? And to me, people ask me, well, why do we dream about people dying or these things happening? I think it's to help on some level prepare us and or maybe even change the outcome. Ooh, can we do that? I think we can. I do think we can get information that if we pass it on to the right people. True. And they act on it, I do think it can make a difference. I used to, and this was the hardest part of being a math teacher, I used to dream about my students' health all the time. And I would debate about how am I going to explain as a math teacher that I'm dreaming about your lung or your liver, or, you know. But when I would share it with them and they would follow up and have it evaluated, 9 times out of 10, there was a problem.
Wow.
And then I started dreaming about my colleagues. That was even worse.
Do you think that's more about you being a hypochondriac, though?
I think you think I'm a hypochondriac. I think I'm just really aware and sensitive to
you could
these issues.
You could say that.
And I see them coming a mile away. And it's difficult. That's a difficult...
Although that's true, because I remember I was being a little bit paranoid about having breast cancer and cervical cancer. And you went, there's nothing wrong with you. And of course, I go get my mammogram and my pap smear and I'm completely fine. It's like you went, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. I was like, oh, okay. I'll listen to Catherine. And
all right. And that instant.
Yeah, you were just like, oh, no, there's nothing wrong
with you. Well, you know,
you.
it's funny. When I was teaching my boss, the department chair, and he's the one who decides what courses you're going to teach, I dreamt about him and his health. And I thought, I could be teaching consumer math for the rest of my life.
Did you tell him?
I did tell him. And, you know, I waved.
Yes.
And he actually did go and have a medical exam. And the fall, when school started again, he pulled me aside and he said, I think you might have saved my life.
Wow.
He said they did find some things and I've tended to it. And
don't you also think, though, if you're supposed to know that to save somebody's life, then that's what's supposed to happen to them? Like, you're being informed so that you can save somebody's life whose life needs to be saved, because sometimes you're not given the information,
right.
And somebody dies.
I do think that it unfolds the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But if I'm given the information, I feel like the Pony Express, I have an obligation to deliver it. And then the hard part is to not be attached with what they do with it.
Well, you know, that whole. See, and sometimes you can't do anything about it. So, and I don't know if this is one of the dreams that we've got that I was going to talk about in a little bit at a later time, but the dream about my dad. You know, my dad was going in for surgery on the Wednesday, and on the Sunday, I was going to an AA meeting that I'd never been to before, and I lived in Pennsylvania, so I would have been 27, 28, something like this. And as I was driving to this meeting in Pennsylvania, there was a dead deer on the side of the road, and I heard something say, that's one. So I go to this meeting, and there's people crying there. I'd never been to this place before, and they were sharing about how this old timer who was 85 had died. And I went, oh shit, that's two. And so I said, when it came time to share, I have a horrible feeling I'm going to be back here next week telling you that my dad died. He's due to have a heart operation on a second triple bypass. He was 54 at this point. He died his first one at 47. His second triple bypass at King's College Hospital in London. I have a feeling that I'm going to be back here next week telling you that he died. And so this is on the Sunday, and my dad died on the Wednesday. And as he was dying, my stepmother, who I absolutely adore, and my uncle were taking him to the hospital. They were rushing him to the hospital. And in England, we have zebra crossings. They're like,
oh, that's funny.
They're called zebra crossings. They're black and white.
Because zebras are going to cross?
No, they're black and white stripes, and they have these Belisha beacons. Okay. It's a crossing system. So they pulled up. I mean, this is like 2 a.m. in the morning, so there's hardly anybody around. And they see my dad walking across the crossing, but he's on the back seat of the car. He's in the back seat of the car. When she told me this, I knew he was already, that was it. He was probably already on his way out. And he died before they could get him on the table. So it was that feeling of, oh my goodness, there's one, there's two.
And things come in threes.
Threes for me, so.
You know, it's an interesting subject matter, and I was having so many dreams that I finally volunteered to participate in dream research.
Oh, good for you.
I really wanted to understand what's actually happening. Can you control it? Can you lucid dream? Can you be aware that you're dreaming? So in 2003, I volunteered to be part of the dream team. There were 3 of us.
I like that.
And it was sponsored through the University of Arizona by the Deepak Chopra Foundation.
Oh.
And the way it was set up is it was 12 days, and there were 3 of us, and we were to dream about what location we were going to be taken to the next day.
Oh.
And when we arrived at this location, if we stood in that spot and we looked at a 360-degree circumference, what would we see? That was the task. Now, the location that we were going to be taken to hadn't yet been determined. So we were dreaming the night before it had even been selected. So after we fill out our journal and turn it in and say where we think we're going, then they draw out of 20 envelopes for 12 nights the location. So they take us to this location. And this was fascinating to me because one of the people that was participating was Christopher Robinson, who calls himself the Dream Detective from England.
Yeah.
And so the 3 of us dreamt on this one particular night different facets of what we were going to see. So he dreamt about a car with flat tires.
Okay.
I dreamt about a circle of flags, all different colors of flags in a circle. And the 3rd person dreamt about her cousin Ted. So, where are we going? Oh, we know.
To Ted's yard, junkyard.
Well, no place we can think of. So we finally arrived at the destination, and it was a rock shop here in Tucson on the west side of town. I think it's still around. And there was an old station wagon with 4 flat tires that had probably been there already 20 years.
Yeah.
On the lot next to it was a facility, a business who had circle of flags, probably 50 flags.
Wow.
Right next to it. And right across the street was a restaurant called Ted's Place.
Wow.
So it was fascinating that we didn't know, it hadn't been selected where we were going.
And you all picked up different pieces of it.
And then when you put it together,
you
had a picture of what you were going to see when you were literally standing in that spot.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
That is fascinating. I thought you were going to say Ted turned up.
No, Ted's Place. And we went and had lunch afterwards
Oh,
at
wow.
Ted's
How
Place.
interesting.
It was a very interesting 12 days, and we continued to have those kinds of experiences. But that's the one that I remember most vividly because those flags were whipping around.
Wow.
So do we want to get to the questions?
Yes. Do we have any questions from our...
Do you have dreams that, you've had? We want to bring the one that my client...
Question.
Yeah, she... So I'm going to read it, and then you can have a look at seeing what it is.
So this is a question from a client.
This is from, I'm just going to give her first name. This is from Natalie. She says, I'm always dreaming about animals, strong animals, tigers, bears, black panthers. Not too long ago, I had a dream that I was at a park of some kind, and it was flooded, and a tiger was coming towards me on a rapid wave. But a pole stopped the tiger from getting to me. The pole was in between the tiger and myself. The tiger growled at me and was clawing at me, but couldn't get to me because of, pole, now it becomes a pool. Okay, the pole being in the way. A simple wooden pole kept this tiger from attacking me. I wasn't scared in the dream. I remember just staring at the tiger, but this tiger was white. So this is a white tiger. And then another dream I had was about a black panther lurking around my house. The house had many windows from floor to ceiling. The panther was watching us through the windows and even attacked briefly. Then all of a sudden, my daughter Alicia goes outside to feed it bacon. I got upset with her because of the danger. I look over at a very odd tree with tons of owls perched on it. The tree was very low to the ground. That's interesting. She dreams about animals.
And to me, it was white and black. One's the white tiger and the black panther. So what I did was go pull out my medicine cards book. When I dream about animals, I think there's a medicine in it. There's a message.
Got it.
And energy that you're...
Well, she mentions black panthers in 2 different dreams.
So I looked up Black Panther, and it's interesting because it's embracing the unknown.
Ooh.
So my question would be to her, was there some problem or some fear or something that she didn't want to go into the void, so to speak?
Yeah.
And
question.
felt fearful because of some of what she
Yeah.
said about the attack.
Mm-hmm.
But then to me, she says, but I go outside and there's a tree full of owls.
Yes.
Well, owls have the night vision. So if you're going to go into the darkness of the void
Yes.
or the unknown, like the Black Panther is taking you, you have wisdom and guidance from
Yes.
the owls. You know, Athena, the goddess of wisdom, had an owl on her shoulder. So to me, it was I would be asking her what was going on that you felt fearful about, that you wanted to go explore.
Yeah.
And to know that you have the owls that are going to protect you and guide you because they have
Because they're going to give you the sight, that you're going to be able to see what it is you
when
need
you
to
get
see.
into the darkness,
yeah, you're going to
you'll
see
have the
what
light.
it is that you need to see.
Isn't it cool?
I like that. I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I always consult if there's dreams about animals. I always go to the medicine cards book,
Which is by James Sams and David Carson.
and look at what is that energy, what is that animal medicine, even in the waking time, because there's some just discussion about when we're awake, are we really asleep, and when we're asleep, are we really awake? So if I look out my back door and I see a bobcat, or I see a quail, or just this morning a black widow spider that was crawling on the floor by my front door.
Oh, wow.
I go look up the medicine to see, okay, what's the message? What's the communication? What's the energy that's in my environment?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So that's I'd be asking her.
Okay, I like that. I don't know if Natalie, if you're on this particular call, she said I look forward to Wednesday's podcast. So I don't know if she's just recording it. Is Natalie on here? Oh, Dory B, she's on here. Good.
And let's see.
Unless Natalie's going under a different name.
Okay, I'm not seeing her.
Okay, well, she'll be listening to this anyway for an answer. Yeah, I like that when you dream about animals, the idea of going to the medicine card, because that makes a lot of sense.
And to me, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So it's like the picture of the Black Panther and juxtaposed to the picture of the white tiger. You know, to me, again, I'd be asking questions like, is there black and white thinking?
Yeah. I like that. We also have, sometimes it seems I have a lot of vivid dreams within a week or a few days, and then nothing for a long time. What influences the frequency and intensity of dreams for an individual? That's a good question.
Do you want me to unmute her?
Yes, unmute Amika.
Okay, you got it.
That's good. And we will get to iPhone, whoever you are.
That might be Jonas.
I might be Jonas. Okay. So, Amika, you have these intense, vivid dreams, but they're periodic?
Yeah, and they'll be like really disturbing or really emotional all at once. And then I won't be able to remember my dreams for weeks. So I kind of assume that I'm not dreaming.
Are you writing them down?
No.
So that would be your first step, would be to write, because there might be a pattern.
Yes.
That's the other thing. You might be being given some information in those vivid dreams, and then more information about that in another dream that comes, 3 or 5 days later or a week later, and you need to join them together.
Or sometimes it's that you didn't quite get the information the first time, and so the next time it's a little stronger, a little more vivid, a little more upsetting, almost a dream turning into a nightmare as a way of getting your attention.
Yeah, definitely.
I need to pay more attention.
Pay more attention and write things down. I'm very big on writing things down.
And pull out what I call the fundamentals. So like in Natalie's dream, you would write Black Panther or White Tiger or Pole or whatever those fundamentals are, because those are symbols that are going to give you some insight as to what you're trying to process.
Yeah, and what was giving you fear? Like what was happening where you felt fearful or emotional, crying or upset, or what had happened for that to, be eliciting that within you.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing for you to do.
So get to writing and then let us know how that works out.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. There was somebody else wrote something.
Yeah, that's good.
And let's see.
Here we go.
Here is my question. It is in regards to visitation dreams. My loved one had passed a month or so by drug overdose. I began to dream of him as he was alive and had not died. What was odd was that in each dream he hugged or held me, and it felt so real, more real than anything I've ever dreamed. Then the dream stopped in a few months. Most visitation dreams I read about are about the the one who has passed speaking directly to you so that to let you know that they're okay. This was not my experience, just that the feelings felt real. Was that a visitation? And if so, why did they stop?
I would say definitely a visitation.
And the reason they stop is that they've moved into the light. I mean,
well, I think they come to you in those dreams to console you, and maybe even to give you answers about their death or why they made this choice or the timing of it, the circumstance around it. But once they've helped you understand that piece, then I think
they move on.
Yes,
that's what I meant by going to the light. It's like that they need to pass some information on to you, and are really holding on, so that you will hear it.
You know, I had a visitation dream about my husband. It was about 6 or 8 months after he died. And in the dream, he was driving his favorite truck that he'd spent many hours restoring. And there was something he was emotionally attached to. So that made sense to me. But his hands were not on the steering wheel, which was freaking me out a bit. And he said, I can't touch it because it would ground me out and you wouldn't be able to see me, which I thought was interesting. And I'm, oh my gosh, you're alive, just like you just said. And he said, no, that's not the case. And I need to tell you 20 things. And you're going to have to really calm down and pay attention because these are important things. So he goes through 20 things. When I wake up, I remember only the last thing he told me. I'm sure he's thinking, really? And it was so interesting because what he told me was that there were going to be 2 babies born into my family that year.
Oh.
Now, sure enough, there were 2 babies born in my family, 1 boy and 1 girl. But, I'm thinking to myself, really? I need to get a job. I need to know where I'm going to live. Why is that particular piece of information important? I've never figured that out. And I've also never recalled the other 19 things that he told me.
Oh, wow.
Although I set my intention that as it pertained and was current, maybe I would remember it.
So maybe you didn't need to know those other 19.
I hope not. I definitely flunked that one.
Somebody, Lisa asks, when you have, this is to Catherine, when you have your dreams that gave you information about a police case, what do you call that? What are you if you have those types of dreams?
Well, some people call that a psychic detective.
Yeah.
Because I was just focusing that gift of being able to answer questions in that arena. So it was like I almost specialized, I guess you would say.
Yeah, yeah.
And then what I would do is I would call the law enforcement agency that was in charge of that particular disappearance, which was difficult because it was all over the country and different law enforcement. So it was like I had to establish my credibility all over again. They don't know who you are.
Well, that's tough because, if you hear detectives talk, they don't usually say that they talk to psychics.
Oh, no, they'll deny it.
They'll deny it completely.
And usually we just work behind the scenes and give them the information and then, as I say, not be attached to the outcome, although I am watching the news to see if they found the lost hiker or the missing.
Yeah.
I had a case of a missing hiker up in Mount Lemmon, and this is before I moved to Tucson. And I could smell blueberry pies so distinctly.
Really?
And I don't usually get smells, but I could, in this dream, it was like this blueberry pie, and I could see blue porta potties. And I'm thinking to myself, now I got a dream with the theme blue going on here. Yeah. And I could also see her backpack, that there was something, it was a female day hiker who was lost. So I called law enforcement, and they referred me to the pie shop up on Mount Lemmon because I mentioned the blueberry pies. And the woman who's no longer alive, who was the owner there, said, oh yes, we know the family. In fact, the family just had a reunion here 2 weeks ago. And this woman who's missing grew up on the mountain. And she said, and I have to tell you, I just took 2 blueberry pies out of the oven.
Wow.
They did find her.
They did.
Yes, and she had been hiking, and a tree limb grabbed her backpack and catapulted her right into a trap, a little place that she couldn't get out because she broke her leg, I think I remember.
Oh, but they did find her.
Yes, and when I called them to tell the police about it, they said, lady, there was a fire on the mountain and there's blue porta potties everywhere.
Oh, yeah. like that.
Like I'm thinking that's going to help.
Yeah, yeah. You didn't know about the fire on the mountain.
No, I did not.
You weren't given that information.
No, but I think it's called psychic detective work, and it's just finding lost people, lost hikers. I'm usually guided to somebody. I worked on a case in Sedona, lost hiker, and they had like different park entrances, and I was guided which one to call.
Mm-hmm.
So the woman that I was talking to, and I'm trying to set it up so she's open to what, she said, oh yes, my mother's a Reiki master. I know you, yes, we'll be happy to take your information.
That's good when that
and
happens.
they did find that hiker too.
That's good. Well, I remember driving in the car and hearing about the little girl that was lost in Tucson.
Yes.
And immediately I said, oh no, not me. You need to call Catherine. Not me. I'm not the person for that. You need to call Catherine.
I really don't do it as much anymore just because it gets very emotionally taxing, particularly when they had asked me to work on that suspect perpetrator energy. It's such a molasses type energy. It's like, I don't want to get in quicksand here, you know. That's not to say if a loved one or somebody was missing, I wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, of course. Sure. Do we have any more questions about your particular dreams? Thank you. And is Jonas here?
Let's see.
I don't know how we would know. What is it called when you have a dream and a day or two later they come true?
That's the precognitive.
That's
and you know, some people think that they caused it to happen because they dreamt it.
Yeah, and they didn't.
No,
it doesn't
they were
work
just
that way.
tapping into the energy. You know, when you're in that altered state, past, present, and future don't exist. Time isn't linear like it is here.
Yeah.
So you can tap into it, and to us it appears to be a future event. But when you're in that altered state, it's not.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll unmute her, and then that way she can talk about what the dream she's been having.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
Lisa?
Can you hear us, Lisa? No? Maybe she's chatting. Oh. Okay. I don't have a microphone.
Thank you.
Well, you're certainly getting through to us because we're reading your questions.
Thank you.
So you found a way to communicate. No, that's okay. You found a way to communicate, which is great. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about lucid dreaming.
Okay, so lucid dreaming.
Vividly. I mean, vivid dreaming can be part of the lucid dreaming.
Well, and lucid dreaming usually means that you are asleep and you're dreaming, you're aware that you're dreaming in the dream, and that you can actually manipulate the dream. You can change the outcome, you can ask questions. It's a pretty profound state, and there are lots of people who've reported to me a variety of lucid dreaming. So I looked into it to say, well, what differentiates it? Why is it different? And again, back to research for me. So
good job you like doing that, huh?
It's interesting to me if somebody's investigated it, because they're looking for what they call the mechanism of action, what makes it work. So if I know that, then I can try it.
Yeah, that's true.
See if it works for me. So Richard Davidson did some research at the University of Wisconsin with meditating monks. They had been meditating forever, and looked at their brain waves and what was going on with them in that lucid dreaming state to discover what's the difference. And what they discovered was their brain waves are high gamma and low delta at the same time. Now that's really unusual because usually when we're dreaming, we're in low delta, and we very rarely ever use high gamma. So the fact that you're doing both at the same time is what gives you that ability to be aware that you're awake.
So like
in
that
dream.
when you're laying on the couch and you feel like you're falling off.
Yes.
And you catch it. You're not actually falling off the couch, but you catch yourself.
Right.
That happens lots of times to me.
You know what was interesting to me is that when they were doing my research on my brain, when I was meditating or channeling or working on a case, it was the same thing with my brain. I was doing both high gamma and low delta, and I wasn't asleep. I was in an altered state. But my brain was doing the same thing that the Buddhist monks' brains were doing, which is that state of lucid dreaming. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So that's why I like research. I get some answers.
Yeah, like, you do, don't you?
Okay, what's going on here?
You do get some of that. Well, and then the other thing is that there are some steps.
Okay, so if you want to learn to become a lucid dreamer, if that's your goal,
you know, we'll take one each. So I'll start with number one. Throughout the day, remember to look at your hands for about 10 seconds, and this will help you notice any changes in your hands in a dream. So if you're
setting it up.
Yeah, you're setting up. So, just sit and look 10 seconds, it will really, and then you'll notice in your dream if hands are part of it.
Or then you can command in the dream that you look at your hands.
Yeah,
so
and then
you have a sense of, okay,
what's going on?
Yes.
Where am I?
So number 2, before you go to sleep, say to yourself, I'm going to remember my dream tonight. I'm going to dream about such and such.
Yeah.
So that's a piece of setting your intention, which is what I'm doing with the water.
Yeah. Well, and also you can ask yourself throughout the day, am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? Because what happens, you will become consciously aware of when you are dreaming.
Yes.
And you can be dreaming while you're awake, which is an interesting state state to be in,
yes.
And not scary unless, of course, you have no idea what's going on.
Unless, of course, you're driving the car.
Am I dreaming? No, you really are driving.
Yeah, that really is a red light there.
Yeah, really.
So there's also a clue, number 4, the good old-fashioned pinch test. To pinch yourself, how they say, am I awake, am I awake?
Yeah.
So you can try that in the dream state or in the awakened state again to differentiate.
Well, and then keeping a dream journal. I mean, this is just so important. And it's funny because when I first started, and now I have an actual journal, but I used to just have scraps of paper. And I wouldn't be able to read my own writing. That was part of the problem. So I'd be like, what did I write there?
What can I read?
What is this? So I said to myself, you must write in capital letters.
Oh.
Because I was writing in script, I mean, I have joined up writing. What's that called? Your teacher.
Cursive.
Cursive. That's what you call it in this country. But I would, so once I'd said that, after a couple of nights, all of my notes were in capital letters, but I had no recollection of writing the notes. Like I'd wake up in the night, I'd write the notes, go to the bathroom, go back to sleep, and then I'd wake up in the morning
and find the notes.
And I could read them because I'd set my intention.
Yes.
I'd said,
I
need
so
capital letters. I can't read these. Give me capital letters.
And sometimes you don't want to take the time to write the whole thing out. So that's why I keep talking about fundamentals. Just put down a few keywords that you can read in the morning. And that will trigger the memory of the rest of the dream. I think there's another hint about setting your alarm clock to wake you up about 5.5 hours after you slept. That's just to interrupt the dream cycle. Yeah. But I'm not a big fan of that because I want a good, long, healthy sleep. Yes.
Yeah, because that might not really work either. You might just get annoyed. Not only did I not dream, but I'm tired, and now I'm annoyed.
And now
I've got to go work for the day,
I had my own experience with a lucid dream. It was interesting. It was back to working with Christopher Robinson, the dream detective. After we did that 12-day experiment, he went back to England. But mostly what he specialized in was dreaming about terrorist attacks.
Oh, wow.
And I think just from having been with him for those 12 days, I started dreaming about terrorist attacks. It's like, that's not something I want to be dreaming about. But I was aware in the dream I was in an airport and there was an impending terrorist attack. I could see that unfolding, but I didn't know where I was. And so in the dream, I said, where am I? And I was shown a letter arched way that read Heathrow Airport. So now I have an answer, and because Chris Robinson worked with British intelligence, I can pass that information along. And about a week later, I read in the paper that the terrorist attack had been thwarted at Heathrow Airport.
Wow.
So it was my way of knowing that we can have information to be of service, to be helpful, to head off something at the past.
Well, and I had something happen, but it wasn't helpful. I dreamt there were no planes in the sky. And this was 3 days before 9/11. And I couldn't understand. It was quiet. I was in Tucson and there were no planes in the sky. And I remember saying to my husband in the dream, how come there were no planes in the sky? And then on the day of 9/11, it was a Tuesday. And that was the day of our homeschooling meeting. So we still took the kids to the homeschool. We wanted to keep their life as
Right.
normal as possible because they didn't know anything about it. Max was only 2. Zachary was 6. So as we're driving on Sunrise and coming down Craycroft, I look up and it's quiet. And I said, there's no planes in the sky. And Steve turns on the radio and it tells about
Why?
Bush has grounded all the planes. But I wasn't helpful, wasn't you? I
Well,
don't know what that was about.
I think it was you tapping into.
Okay.
And I also think if you wanted to, like the next night, you could have said, I want to dream about why are there no planes
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
sky,
yeah.
or I want more information about this.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a continuation. You have
Yeah.
a snippet,
Yeah.
and now you want it to be expanded.
You know, somebody who didn't listen to his intuition about that was the guy who checked in two of the terrorists. When you see an interview with him, he's not a racist or anything like that. He just had this horrible feeling when he checked them in, and he just thought, I'm being racist, what's wrong with you? Instead, his intuition was saying to him,
Yes.
don't put them on the planes.
You know, it's interesting. I lived in Phoenix at the time, and I had gone to my hairdresser's. And while I was waiting, a man walked in, like a walk-in to get his hair cut, and I had the same intuition.
Yeah.
There is something, I mean, I couldn't even be in the same room with this person. So my hairdresser ended up cutting my hair out in the alley.
Wow.
And another hairdresser came out and said, what are you guys doing out here in the alley? And I'm trying to think of how I'm going to explain this. And she says to me, is it because of the man with the evil eyes?
Oh, wow.
So she had read his energy the same way I had read. And I said, we need to know who that person is because there's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, he was a walk-in. Nobody knew. He just came in, got his hair cut, and left.
Yeah.
But as we know, some of those pilots trained in Phoenix.
That's right. So you just don't know, do you?
No, but it was, I'm telling you, it was so, I literally couldn't breathe. I mean, I got up, my hairdresser looked at me because I was going to faint. It's like I just sucked all the air out of the room.
Wow.
And he said, what's wrong with you? I have to go outside. So there he is cutting my hair out the alley.
That is scary. Well, you know, something else, I don't know, did Jonas join us in the call anywhere? So we don't know if Jonas...
Yes, he had told me we were going to talk a little bit about dreams about visitations.
Yeah, he would have a New York number, wouldn't he?
Oh, right there? Okay, so...
Yeah, so unmute him.
Jonas.
Jonas, can you hear us? Or are you going to not have a microphone either? No, you would have a microphone, given who you are.
On his phone.
On his phone.
Let's see. Unmute.
Wait,
Okay.
unmute?
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Well,
Can you hear us, Jonas?
is he in your headset?
Let's bring him. Hello, Jonas?
No?
Mm-mm.
That's his telephone number. So maybe he's on a conference call somewhere. Should we leave him? Well, let's just leave him. Don't you have to click unmute to unmute him?
Okay, so let's try that.
Let's try that. Jonas?
Hey, guys.
Yeah,
Hey.
Yeah, can you hear me?
yeah, we can
Hey,
hear.
there y'all are.
Okay, but he's coming through your headset, so how do we hear him?
No, you can hear him.
Well, sort of hear him.
So ask us a question, Jonas, and welcome. Thank you for joining in.
I'll try and listen. Well,
Oh, this has been wonderful. I've been hearing all kind of great stories, and it's a time where my mouth can't get in the way of listening. So it's been really wonderful, guys. I love what y'all are doing.
thank you.
For those of you who don't know,
Yeah, let's just introduce who you are, please.
for those of you who don't know, Jonas and I collaborated on a television show for the Oprah Winfrey Network called Indie Shift with an F with Jonas Elrod. And prior to that, he was the director and featured in the documentary Wake Up. And Dawn and I interviewed him when we had the radio show. So welcome back. It's like deja vu, Jonas.
Yeah.
It is like deja vu.
I
I picked up a lot of good stories.
And I've been Jonas has been, I've been responding to a lot of Jonas's Facebook stuff lately, and I didn't know why. See? Because you only just told me, Jonas is going to come and talk to us. And I thought, well, how strange that I recently have been responding to a lot of the things that you've been writing on Facebook. So
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity, you know, that's the way it's supposed
All
to.
connected.
Yeah.
So you have a dream or a question?
Well, I would love to learn more, and I heard you guys talking about it, and I hope I don't ask a redundant question. I've been on for about 30 minutes, but I would love to learn how to tap into my dreams more, remember, and also there's a way to elicit communication from the other side, from past ones. I'm just not that good at it anymore. But I've heard y'all tell some good stories and tips, but I would love to use this in between state for higher guidance and also to reconnect with my loved ones.
Well, we're talking about visitations right now. You know, I mean, I think sometimes the biggest thing is setting the intent. Has to be setting the intention, and has to be,
and almost like offering an invitation.
Yeah,
like it's an invitation to come and join you in the dream state and to have a shared time, quality time with that person.
And you could make that really practical. I mean, you could actually type up an invitation, you know, leave it at the end of the bed, read it, but leave it there next to your bed. So it's an actual written invitation, as if somebody was coming to a wedding or something.
I love that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, because the more concrete that we do in this,
in the waking state,
the more opportunity we have in either the sleeping state or when we have visitations, which is slightly different, of course, than dreaming, because you're not.
In the visitation, I feel like your loved one's actually there with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel them, touch them. It's so real, so vivid. It has a different quality to it.
And you're not dreaming. It's different to dreams. Visitations for me are very different.
Yes.
You're wide awake and somebody's there.
Some people can actually see them in the room.
Yeah.
And a couple of times I've had that experience. It's frightened me.
Yeah, me too.
So I've just said, okay, I'm better off if I'm asleep and you come quietly into the dream.
So you could ask for either way. If you want to see them actually in the room with you in person, or if you prefer to see them in the dream state, getting clearer about that would also help as well. Because sometimes if you're not clear enough about that, they don't know, you know, which way, what to do, whether to show up in your real life or whether to show up in your dream life. So if you
sort of setting boundaries, or telling them this would work better for me if, you know, and don't startle me, because if I'm in an altered state and you startle me, you're going to flip me right out of it.
Which is what happened to a client of mine I talked to this weekend. She asked me, she said she was woken up very violently by somebody, but she didn't know who it was. And she, you know, she lives alone, and she checked everywhere in the house. And,
like me.
Yeah, it was like you. And she said, and I didn't like it at all. I said, then you need to let them know. You need to set boundaries. If they've got something to tell you, then that's okay. You're open to it. Just don't wake me violently like
It's like
that.
working out a relationship in the wake time.
Yeah.
You just tell them what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And sometimes you don't want visitations or you don't want information. You just want to have a nice, peaceful night's sleep.
Yeah.
So you can set your intention that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had an experience you want to ask about?
No, I'm pretty clear when they come through, but this is all really good concrete advice for me. Tactile, like writing an invitation or just getting very, very clear, or maybe even write the parameters of things I want to have happen. I never considered that. So thank you.
Well,
but I've had them, and they're definitely, I agree, they're definitely change your perspective.
And just being open to whoever comes through. I think about when Jeremy, Roz's not ex-husband, which sorry Mika, you put ex-husband. It wasn't her ex-husband, he's her dead husband. When Jeremy died, my best friend's husband died, he came and visited me and Steve at the same time. So he was in the room with us in full army uniform, boots and everything. I mean, I could see his fatigues and everything, and he was standing there, and it was so annoying because I'm like, why don't you visit Roz? Like, you need to visit Roz. She's not going to be happy that you visited me. Like,
but I think
he
there's an
wasn't ready.
explanation. Well, too, sometimes the loved one that's left behind is in so much grief.
Yeah, well, she was.
Yeah, that they can't
Bottle of Scotch a day.
Well, there you go. They can't penetrate it. It's like molasses. So they go to another person who would share the message.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like my aunt visiting me when I was 9 months, she would have been my aunt, when I was 9 months pregnant, and showing up at the end of the bed 3 days in a row. There's that 3 again.
That's your magic number.
That's my magic number, isn't it? 3. So 3 days in a row she showed up, and I had no idea what she looked like because she died before I was born.
Oh, interesting.
So when I described her to my mom just went, oh yeah, that's my sister, send her to me. you know, and she never came back to me again. She said, I'll let her know you're not open to this. Which I'm
And I think that's
not.
the biggest secret, Jonas, is to just declare that you are open to it.
Yeah.
That you are willing to be a collaborator in this, and that you would be of service to whomever if they come with the highest intention.
And not thinking too much when you do have that experience. Like, you don't analyze it so much. Just take notes and allow a few days to pass, unless of course you're given an urgent message, you've got to tell somebody immediately. Allow your normal day-to-day to go on, because what may happen in your waking life is that you'll get some indication of what that person was really trying to tell you, rather than you trying to think it through and figure it out. Worst place for us to be in our heads, because, you know, ideas, imagination, research, that's it for the head. That's not where answers come from. And so just allow yourself to process it and be with it, and even ask for more information. I'll need another visit. Like, that wasn't enough. I need more visits.
I have to ask my husband to come back with the other 19 items that I forgot. Well, we want to thank you for joining us, Jonas, and the other listeners. We do have a card to complete the podcast with.
Oh, yes. So
talk about the card.
We picked the teachings of Abraham, which is Esther and Jerry Hicks. No coincidence that one of my clients was talking about Esther and Jerry Hicks this week. And these are the well-being cards. And this is: every emotion I feel is guidance from my adoring inner being. Because my inner being offers a strong and steady vibrational signal, I can always feel my allowance or resistance to that signal. The better I feel, the more aligned I am. The worse I feel, the more out of alignment I am. As I reach for good feeling emotions, I am in alignment with the signal of my source. And, you know, our question this week is, what is the ritual that you need to set in place in order to dream, in order to connect with those from the other side, to remember those dreams? What is the ritual that you need? So how do you connect with your inner being? What are the things that you need to do?
And what guidance would you get if you did that?
Oh, yes. I love that. So we have another podcast coming up, a half-hour one.
Yes, next week
Wednesday.
on roadblocks.
Roadblocks.
Obstacles, fears.
Limiting beliefs and all that kind of stuff. One of my favorite subjects, of course. But in the meantime, namaste.